Hello and welcome to this 8th edition of Leaders of Tomorrow, India's only enabling platform for small businesses. Over the past 7 years, we've understood what matters most to you, the entrepreneur. And in year 8, we're taking head-on 2 of your most pressing concerns, that of funding and mentoring. I'm Sananda Jayaseelan. Tonight, 2 disruptor conversations in focus. First up, the spotlight is on Urban Ladder. And on the other side of a short break, we're in conversation with Little Black Book. Our first disruptor conversation tonight is with Urban Ladder, and I'm being joined now by Ashish Goel, co-founder and CEO, to discuss the company's journey, the unique journey that they've had, as well as their advice for entrepreneurs who are watching this space. Ashish, such a pleasure having you here. You are a unicorn. You are someone who's seen exponential growth here in this industry. So I really want to, start by talking to you about what perhaps are some of your highlights personally, if you could run us through that.
We started Urban Ladder in 2012, July 2012, and it's actually been quite an amazing journey. I think personally for me, sheer validation that we are building something that matters to customers and improves their lives. And I mean, we could talk about many instances, but every instance where a customer comes up to us and tells us that, you know what, guys, thanks for doing this. This has improved my life. Makes us feel good. Of course, the unfortunate reality is we make more than our share of mistakes. So every time we don't do the right thing for the customer, it takes something away from all our effort.
So, I want to continue talking really about how the market has changed, because in the 7 odd years that you've been in existence, the online furniture market has changed. Is that something that you perhaps expected, the kind of changes that you've seen in the market? Did you maybe anticipate it? Because your story really is a reflection of the kind of changes that we've seen when it comes to this space. How have things really panned out, both for the industry and for you?
The customer is operating absolutely across channels, right? The customer does not care whether you're online, whether you're offline. The customer, is happy to look for the product online, do the research online, sometimes do the research offline, and then make the purchase decision in whatever channel that works best for them. All the customer cares about is whether they are getting the experience they require, whether they're getting the information they need, whether they are believing in the brand that they are finally going to go with for their purchase. So I think one has to think about the channels in an integrated and extremely wholesome way. But really, the focus has to be on delivering the right experience to the customer.
I want to talk about the fact that you're an omni-channel player, both online and offline. That clearly has worked for you as a model. Why do you think that's worked best? Is that perhaps something that you think that most players in this space should look at?
Beauty of our category is that, and if you visit any of our stores and you visit our website, you will be amazed how seamlessly the catalog is integrated. We have a 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 square feet store. In that store, how do you represent 2,500, 3,000, 3,500 pieces of furniture, right? And that's really the intellectual challenge and engineering challenge that we have worked on. For us, in integrated omni-channel retail, one part is the very, very sharply defined customer funnel management, and the second part is the infinite catalog view that has to be seamless across channels.
I want to talk about the regulatory framework for businesses like yourself here in the country. There's been, of course, clarity now coming in on angel tax, a move that the startup community has been pushing for a while. But a lot of businesses that speak to us say they would prefer if the government doesn't get involved with startups, particularly in tech-based startups, because they don't really understand the nature of the beast. I want to understand your thoughts on that. On what side of the argument are you?
If you ask me, the government is taking a absolutely engaged, proactive stance towards engaging and having a real conversation with all stakeholders. From my standpoint, it's a step in the right direction. I would say that the two themes from my standpoint. One, I think stronger adherence and implementation of some of our existing laws, including the FDI regulations. And second, I think definitely required stronger implementation and adherence of the GST regime.
My question to you is, we have a large international player like IKEA disrupted the markets around the world, is now here in India. Companies like Fab Furnish, for instance, acquired and then shut down. For a small player which is in this space, looking at this industry, what is your advice on how to take on competition?
Only advice I will give, and this is something I heard, this is the advice I received from Nandan Nilekani maybe about 3.5 years back. And I was asking him that, IKEA is going to enter India, how should we think about it, what's our defense, and etc., etc. I think his response was something which is sort of, etched in my mind. His response was, your biggest defense is going to be 500,000 customers who swear by you. There is no better defense than customers and armies of customers who say, what, these guys are doing the right thing and we'll stay with them.
I want to talk about customer segmentation. When we talk about the online furniture market, are we really talking about one homogeneous market, or are we talking about, multiple sort of verticals or subsets in terms of preferences, taste, choice, pricing, etc.? What sort of insights can you give on this market?
A few years back, we were doing customer research and customer work. And our data was telling us that we were not selling any shoe racks in Hyderabad. Okay. Now, it just doesn't add up, right? Why would people in Hyderabad buy everything else, but they would not buy shoe racks from us? And I spent some time in Hyderabad, but didn't know the city so well. And on one of the visits we saw in customers' homes, Hyderabad as a city, it's interesting that people keep the shoe rack outside the house. And when they keep the shoe rack outside the house, having a lock on the shoe rack is actually a critical determinant for them to buy shoe racks. Now, it sounds very trivial, but really that's just one example of how small differences in different cities, different kinds of households, different ways of living give you like hundreds and hundreds of different customer segments. So I think we are committed to saying we will understand the Indian customer in all its wonderful variety, shape, size, etc., right? And we will do our level best to serve as many of those customer segments as we possibly can.
I want to go back to that previous question I was asking you as far as competition is concerned, IKEA, etc., and ask you on whether the unorganized market that we're seeing in India perhaps is the biggest competition for players like yourself.
See, if you look at the statistics or the data related to our category and the market, all the organized players, everybody put together, we are less than 6-7% of the furniture market in India. I think the number is closer to a 4.5 kind of percent, right? So really speaking, 93, 95, 97% of the overall market continues to be outside the purview of the organized retailers. Over a period of time, this number is going to become, let's say, maybe a 25%, 30%. But really, if all the organized retailers were to compete among themselves and redistribute that 5% pie better or differently, frankly, nobody would have got anywhere. So I think while it is a long journey, the real shift for us in our category is indeed where customers start to adopt and sort of become closer to brands that they like.
I just want to read out some figures that we've picked up from industry reports, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Ashish, in terms of just how much you've raised. Reports suggesting you were close to raising 25 million, didn't quite raise that amount, but you raised your last series of funding 18 months ago. You're now to about $112 odd million. Anything you can share with us on the funding piece? Anything more? Anything that's coming up?
Yeah, see, we have raised about $100 million till date. And if you ask me, for a business like ours, that's an absolutely splendid sum of money. And we have also crossed an important milestone of getting into profitability as a company. Now, with that context, our sheer capital needs have reduced dramatically, right? We make our own money, and we spend it. So I think from here on, we may raise capital, but the capital that we raise from here on will be for us to accelerate growth, not for survival.
One aspect of your business is very crucial to companies like yours, businesses like yours, of course, is branding and marketing and positioning really of your products. And I understand that your furniture is named after very unique sort of thought processes, if I can call it that. For instance, your chest of drawers is named after famous explorers. My question is, why is that? Is it crucial? Is it intrinsic? Is it necessary? Is it a must do in businesses like yours? What advice do you have?
I had this thought that we'll give our products names, and those names have to mean something. So all our chest of drawers are named after famous explorers, and that goes back to the theme of explorers using chest of drawers on travel, on ships, and so on. So we have all of us find our own small joys in creating a business.
What next, Ashish? You are, I understand, looking at opening franchise stores with partners. Anything more you can leave us with?
We have actually signed up franchisees in 4 cities already, and we'll be progressing on more in the next few months. Started doing franchising after we have run 11 stores for the last year and a half, and we have a lot of the systems and processes going, because we really believe that if we have to work with a franchisee, we have to be able to give them a very, very strong set of systems and processes, and we have to be very, very, very confident about their success, because they will be that's the only way they will be partners with us for the long term.
All right, Ashish, thank you so much for your time here on the show.
Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Let's slip into a short break on that note. Much more on the other side, particularly in terms of what is exciting at Little Black Book. Do stay tuned. Back in just a bit. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. Our second Disruptor conversation is with Little Black Book. How millennials shop and how they sort of interact with each other when they're shopping has undergone a sea change. I'm being joined now in studio by Suchita Salwan, founder and CEO of Little Black Book, to help us really decode what millennials are looking for and what you should keep in mind when you're targeting millennials and shopping. Suchita, good having you here on the show. And I understand you started Little Black Book, or LBB as it's popularly known, when you were in your early 20s. So, what was that like? What perhaps helped you, that one point that helped you understand that this was a market that was going to explode and was going to be a big market?
Absolutely. So I think for me, starting LBB was essentially a passion project of sorts. I was working with the BBC, and I've always been very fond of discovering new things, and I've always, been drawn towards small to medium-sized businesses. So I've always been one to, find that hidden gem, whether it's a store, a restaurant, a cafe, etc., etc. And I think for me, the reason to start LBB was I've been born and brought up in Delhi. I've lived here my whole life. And while I was looking at, your Google, your, traditional listing platforms to find information about what to do locally, I just found the most popular businesses getting repeated over and over again. And there was no one really telling me what are those hidden gems, right? What are those places that are slightly off the beaten track that I can, go to, discover and have a great time at. And that's really where the genesis of LBB came from.
Suchita, as we've just been discussing, when you started this business, it was very new, it was a very niche concept. And my question to you is, what perhaps were some of the challenges when you started out? Did you understand perhaps, this is where the market was going to go and these were the things that you needed to do? Did you have good, mentoring perhaps along the way? What was that like for you?
I think the challenge was two things, helping investors understand why this works and helping investors understand, what the value proposition of LBB really is. And I think the second was obviously, with local businesses and with local merchants, which is a cohort of businesses that LBB seeks to enable and seeks to help. With them, again, it was the same sort of conversation, right? How do we, as a platform, help you gain, everything from new users to new eyeballs to, ways to empower your business and make more money. So those were the two initial challenges. But I think, time has sort of stood the test for us and we've been able to deliver on our mission.
One question we always ask businesses that are the front runners in their space like yours is what your funding journey has been like, Suchita. Was it easy? Was it hard trying to raise funds, trying to convince investors about your business model?
Funding experience has actually been fairly good so far. We've raised a total of $7 million, so about 65 crores till date. And we have stalwart investors. So our angel round, we had Rajan Anandan and we had Sachin Bhatia. And obviously we recently raised our Series A and we've seen participation from the likes of Inventus India as well as Chirite, Bloom Ventures, IN Fund, etc. So I think for us, the best part about fundraising for LBB is our investors, usually end up being consumers of our product. So they understand very closely in terms of what the value proposition of LBB is. So I think for us, fortunately, our numbers have spoken, for itself, which has made our investing journey a little easier than, how most folks would have it. But as any founder will tell you, investing is always a bit of an upward climb, and it is what it is. But we're lucky and privileged to have the support of some of India's best investors.
I want for you at this stage to just break down the operations of LBB for our viewers, Suchita, and help our viewers understand, who your various stakeholders are, etc.
So where LBB is at today is we're at about 130 employees across India. Of course, our headquarters are based out of Delhi, NCR, and our larger teams are within operations and technology, which is headquartered based out of Delhi, NCR. We have very small remote teams. So the other two sort of, regions for us are Bombay and Bangalore, obviously from a monetization perspective. But LBB is present in about 9 cities, in India, which has given us a significant geographical footprint. The way we've modeled our business is that essentially, 3 large teams. One is community, the second is information, and the third is connect, which is essentially defined as our monetization capabilities. And our 130 odd team members are divided into these 3 sort of verticals. So we have one vertical which we call our connect vertical, which focuses on connecting consumers with merchants, and that's our monetization and our revenue team. Of course, our information team, is heavy on everything from our community managers to our data quality team, etc. And our community really is the core of our product because they're the reason that we exist, right? They're the reason why there's information on our platform. And it's in between these 3 that our, operations are divided. Obviously, the spine of our organization is our product and our tech team because they're the reason we're able to scale, they're the reason we're able to grow, and they also keep our systems and our operations running. So that's the way we're currently divided.
Okay, that also brings me to my next question in terms of your revenue model. Where are you seeing perhaps, the biggest growth really coming in for your business?
So for us, our journey in monetization has been very interesting. We started out predominantly as an ad first and as an ad-led model. But a lot of what, we found when we started talking to our consumers was a lot of our users were using LBB to actually get in touch with the local business, right? So they were, finding this great shirt store on LBB, and then they were getting in touch with this business and asking them, how they could buy the shirts. And I think for us, what we recently ended up launching was commerce. So we have our own marketplace on the platform. So now you can go from discovering a great business to actually shopping from that merchant seamlessly through our app and our web platform, which of course is a new addition. So yes, 2 revenue streams. Ad revenue continues to be a significant driving force, and we've continued to scale that up about 100% year on year, as I mentioned earlier. And of course, very recently we launched commerce on the platform, which is a significant part of our mission to connect users to great local businesses.
Your app, I notice, was launched in 2016. In the 3 years since, what has that response been like?
I think the response of the app has been absolutely phenomenal. Our best users are the ones who are using our app. The number of sessions on our app per user is 4 to 5 times that on our web. The retention on our app obviously significantly more than our web. Even the conversion on our app is about 2 to 3x that it is on our web. So the response has been absolutely phenomenal. In fact, we actually on average see 30 sessions per user per month on our app. So on average, a user is opening the app up every single day to be more in the know of what's new, what's interesting, what's happening. I think a lot of what's fueled the customer love towards our app is this generation of Indian consumers. They're a generation that's grown up on Facebook, Instagram, and what that essentially means is they're a generation that's addicted to the new, right? They're a generation that's addicted to finding new things, going to new places, discovering new businesses, and then just moving on. And a lot of what we've been able to do from an app perspective is deliver on a very personalized approach for this particular consumer cohort, but also keep that adrenaline rushing within consumers. So every time you open the LBB app, you'll find a plethora of new things that you can do and new ways to spend your time and money, which is what keeps consumers coming back to our product over and over again.
A year after you launched your app, you also launched the LBB Specials, I understand. What is that platform like? What can you tell us?
So actually, as I said, LBB, our mission is to connect you with great local brands and businesses. And really the backbone of LBB is the small to medium-sized businesses that we support. In India, there's over 68 million SMBs. And I think for us, the purpose of LBB is how do we power more and more of them to get discovered, to get found, and also to help them make more money. And I think by launching commerce on our platform, we've really unlocked this layer of scalability where now we see about 20 to 25% of our transactions coming from cities that we aren't even available in. So I think commerce has given us that ability to really scale and ramp up both our reach numbers as well as our transaction numbers without having to literally launch a new market every single time.
Suchita, thanks so much for your time here on the show.
Thank you.
All right, out of time then on this episode. If you have any feedback, our details coming up in just a bit on how you can contact us. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.